Well, the idea between or behind World Beyond War is a feeling that almost all the people in the world want peace. I mean, nobody wants war. And we're all paying the cost. I mean, not just the people that are underneath the bombs or the drones, or the millions of people that are refugees that are having to flee wars. But we're all having to pay the cost, the money, the $2 trillion a year that is going for wars and preparations for wars instead of building a decent life for every person on the planet. So we're all hurting, and that's to say nothing of for all of us that feel we have some moral obligation to our brothers and sisters all around the world. To see them getting killed is very painful. So if we're the majority, the massive majority of the world's people, maybe 95% or something like that, we're not a small minority, and we're not just a fly in the soup. We're the great majority of the world's people, and I think people all over the world have discovered the power of nonviolence. If governments are not listening to the people, if they have their own agenda, if they're listening to the military-industrial complex or the rich people in their own society rather than the people, people have a tool. I mean, they can demand, and of course we won't force the government to listen to people by a one-day demonstration. It's got to be sustained, ongoing struggle, like it has been in the past in the women's suffrage movement, the labor movement, the civil rights movement in the United States, the right to vote. I mean, I think if you look at history, every major change has been made through sustained struggle of people, and it's going to take that again. So if we're the massive majority and we know we have some tools to force our governments to listen to us or to step aside and let us find a government that will listen to the people. We can outlaw war just like we outlawed slavery, like we, in at least much of the Western world, women are first-class citizens. We're no longer tolerate cannibalism or dueling. So ending war is not so impossible as some people would think. Maybe it'll take 50, 100 years, but I would hate to think that all future generations are going to have to suffer what people are suffering now from war. And it's insane. It's not working. The First World War, I think, laid the groundwork for the Second World War. The Korean War is still not solved. The Vietnam War, the most powerful nation in the world, was defeated. Iraq and Afghanistan have been destroyed. Libya and Syria are being destroyed. So it's not really helping anybody, and nobody's winning these wars. Everyone's losing. So it's a clarion call for the people of the world to get together and realize that we're not Americans or Germans or Rwandans or South Africans. First, we're a part of the human family, and to really join a global movement to end war. And we're not asking everyone to stop what they're doing to join this movement, but if all the people that are hurting and are suffering because of war, and the cost of war, the economic cost of war, or the people that want to work for a renewable energy world, and which is going to need hundreds of billions of dollars the only place that money can come from, is from, stopping the war preparations. So that's the general idea, and we've put out on the World Beyond War website, we have a declaration of peace that people can sign. We have a 10-minute video on really what we call the $2 trillion choice. Do the people of the world want to spend $2 trillion on wars and preparations for wars every year? Or do we want to spend that money creating a decent life for every person on the planet? And I think terrorism is created by situations of hopelessness and despair. And the people in Iraq and Afghanistan, Syria, are feeling despair. Their homes are destroyed, their families have been killed, there's no jobs. So we have created that environment where there's going to be more and more terrorists and more wars. So we have the choice of continuing on that path of self-destruction or on choosing a new path. I think it's always important to, when we have, there are going to be conflicts, there are going to be differences, but the question is just, are you going to kill each other, shoot each other, threaten each other with nuclear weapons as a way of trying to resolve the conflict, or are you going to sit down at the negotiation table and hear what the needs and concerns of all sides are, and then try to find a solution that's going to meet everyone's needs. So I think people like Gorbachev, people like Carter and Desmond Tutu and these kind of people are the kind of people that hopefully are going to give the leadership to encourage all the different factions and people or countries that are threatening nuclear war right now. For instance, the Soviet or Russia and the United States, NATO, to sit down and rather than threatening nuclear war, let's try to look at what the concerns are of all the parties, what the legitimate rights of people, and really looking at what's going to benefit the people in the area and the region, not national interests, regardless of any country. So I signed that petition, and I hope that many other people will as well. Well, I think we see two major steps that are needed. One is massive education. I think people all over the world are propagandized or brainwashed by their governments into thinking in nationalistic terms, or their own country versus the rest of the world. And I think in this day and age there are no national borders, and there is no such thing as security for one country and insecurity for someone else. That's going to just be the cause of war. So we need to realize that we have been brainwashed into listening to what our governments have been saying, that war is really the answer to anything, the positive answer, and that there are much more effective methods of resolving conflict and achieving security. But we need to be thinking globally, not just nationally or regionally. So that's the first one, is education. Among other things, what I was saying earlier, that we are the massive majority of people that want peace. And then the second is that we organize and in a sustained basis, begin to say to our governments, we're not going to put up with this anymore. You listen to us, or we're going to move you out of the way. And that's not just, a 1 or 2 day demonstrations. It's putting pressure on in a sustained basis. In the United States, during the wars in Central America, many of us blocked trains carrying bombs and munitions to ships that were going to go and kill people in Central America. And every day for 2.5 years, we blocked those trains. I mean, the Occupy movement, which was both in Europe, the United States, and other parts of the world, showed what sustained struggle is about. And many of us are war tax resistors in the United States. Half of every tax dollar that we pay to the government goes for wars and preparations for wars. So some of us said, you're not getting my money anymore. I mean, the churches, the labor unions, the students, the professionals of all types, the elders, the war veterans, all need to say, look, this isn't going to happen without us. We've got to step up to the plate and demand a world without war, and bringing that $2 trillion home, and what we could do with that. And we have to allow our imaginations to get beyond the kind of immediate crises. And I think that's one of the things that our governments are doing is there's always a crisis, and we're trying to respond to that immediate, the drones. In the United States, many of us are getting arrested every week trying to stop these drones. That's a crucial crisis, but even if we stop the drones, we're still going to be threatening with other countries with nuclear war. So it's the whole kit and caboodle. I don't know what the German translation for it is. That we need to address. And maybe it's going to take 50, 100 years, but let's get started.
Thank you very much. It was an honor to meet you here in Berlin.
Thank you.
Much.
And I've been heartened by the people I've met here that I think are deeply concerned, are already working, but we're hoping that this movement can really be a truly global movement where people from all countries in the world, all religious faiths, all races and sexes, etc., will be involved. And I encourage people to look at the website, worldbeyondwar.org, and there's a declaration of peace there that people can sign. And as I said earlier, there's a 10-minute video that take a look at it and let us know what your choice is. And I think if the people in the military-industrial complex really, I don't think that most of these people really want to be killing people. I mean, they could be making, windmills, public transportation vehicles, etc., instead of guns and bombs and tanks. And if they really think about it, all wars are wars against children. 90% of the people that are killed in wars are civilians. Many, many women and children. And so if even a person that is making tanks is their occupation, think, making these tanks, there's a bunch of children that are going to get killed tomorrow and the next day, the next day and the next year. And is that really what they want to be doing? And as many of you know, I'm sure, there are many, many more jobs for every dollar or euro that is spent on education, on healthcare, on repairing infrastructure than there are in the military for the same jobs. So it's not a question of putting people out of their jobs. It's we have to retrain people for, you know, new jobs, which happened after the Second World War. I mean, you know, Europe and the United States were all geared up for war, making military hardware, and then when the war was over, we decided to put those same money and energy into building a good life for people. It was good for everybody. And we had a lot of positive things instead of rubble and destruction to show for it. So anyway, this is an invitation to people in Germany and Europe and all over the world to join us in this important effort. And I think maybe I said earlier, it's not that people should stop what they're doing, whatever their local movement is, making it safe for their kids in their neighborhoods, etc. But include, our goal is to end war, put it totally out of business, and utilize the very effective alternative means to achieve security.